I spent over $593,000 on ads last month, and I got asked 1,000 questions. Vivaan, how do I test with Meta ads in 2026? What type of creatives work? And after the Andromeda update, what has changed? Well, I did a long deep dive with everyone in my team, and I went over exactly what to do with Meta ads in 2026, how to test, how to differentiate yourself, even if there are 1,000 people selling the same product as you are, and how to build an authority brand in the market today in 2026. Let's dive into it. So first, we're going to go over common best practices with ads, certain things that we keep in mind anytime we want to get a return that's a much higher return than what we're spending, right? You have to understand that every year your CPMs are going to go up. Your ads are going to get more and more expensive. You're never going to be just running ads at a $20 CPM. That's never going to happen, right? Any brand that's depending on a $20 CPA today is going to get crushed. So you have to make sure you optimize for LTV and AOV. We've always talked about this on multiple calls. That focus is now more than ever, right? So become LTV focused and become AOV focused right now. So your time should be spent on creatives, on LTV, and on AOV. That's the only three things that I would spend my time on, right? Don't spend time on anything else except for hiring. Unless you are at 10K a month or above, you should be focusing on hiring. You should be focusing on getting the right team members in place to making sure that these things are maintained so that you guys can focus your time and attention on LTV, AOV, and these are the most important things, right? So focus on LTV, AOV, and creatives. Nothing else matters in e-commerce, right? So your time, if it's spread out too thin, especially with you guys working full time as well, a lot of you guys, it will not work if you're not focusing on one thing. So what I do is I've always talked about this, I prioritize my list, right? So I have a high priority list and I have a low priority list. High leverage tasks, low leverage tasks. So if you focus your time and attention on just these low leverage tasks, they are like knives, right? And they would just it's small cuts, and that's not what you want to be. So you don't want to be spending so much of your time on small, useless, mindless tasks. Divide your time and attention. So that's why I always tell people that, hey, you have to come up, and every day you should have a to-do list that you guys actually follow. We've talked about all of these things. I'm just going to give you a quick recap. And then this is very important. So LTV, AOV, creatives. Then what we focus on, and in terms of best practices with your ads, you need to make sure that there's congruency, right? Super important to keep congruency throughout your funnel. If you are using one brand color, that brand color has to follow with your ads. It has to follow with your branding. It has to follow with your emails. It has to follow with everything that you're doing. If you've not found a winner yet, you have to keep on changing this depending on the product you test. If you're testing a woman's product, then you want to be focusing on this pink or some element like that. If you're focusing on a supplement, right, you want to focus on a more bold color. These things matter. Your imagery matters. The person who you're talking to matters. Everything in your ad, to your PDP, to your backend, to your retention side, your emails, everything has to be congruent. And this will take work. It's a lot easier if you do it through Claude, but congruency is super important throughout your funnels. If your ad is talking about one thing, your product page should talk about the same thing. If your ad talks about bloating and your product page talks about, losing or testosterone, for example, then that's a mismatch. The customer's coming in thinking about bloating and the product page talks about something completely different. Either focus on just one angle, or if you're focusing on multiple angles, if you have some sales, have multiple landers. Every lander should talk about one angle specifically. If you have no congruency in your funnel, your CPM will be high. You're going to be completely crushed by your competitors, and you're never going to get a high conversion rate, right? Congruency also comes with your branding, right? Your colors, the fonts you use, every small thing matters. The messaging you have, everything has to be super congruent throughout your funnel. The moment you're not congruent, you're breaking some level of branding elements with your customers. Congruency is also very important. Next thing I want to talk about is test all formats, right? You want to test VSLs, you want to test images. Statics have been crushing it for us lately. So focus a lot on image ads, focus a lot on natives, right? You want to focus a lot on bottom of funnel ads. We'll get into that in a minute. We also want to be focusing on carousels, right? Super important. We also want to be focusing on just regular videos. You want to be focusing on every type of an ad. You want to see what works for you specifically, right? Does natives work for you the best? Then focus on just natives. Like do an 80-20. 20% you can test other ads, you can test VS ads, you can test natives, you can test, regular statics, you can test bottom of funnels, you can test all of it, right? Bottom of funnel always has to be there. I will dive into bottom of funnel in a bit. But if you're testing a specific format and that's the only format that you're testing, if that format dies out, your store dies out. So you have to have variety in your ad account. After Andromeda, variety is what Facebook is preferring. If you don't have variety in your ad account, you're going to be hit with very expensive CPMs and you're never going to do well. And yes, this call has been recorded for whoever asked. So super important to keep variety in the funnel. If you have natives, I know, there's I think he's on the call today. He specifically focuses on natives, right? And natives has been his best bet. But and I always tell him, hey, keep variety in the ad account. If we don't have variety, if your natives stop working tomorrow, then that becomes a problem for you. Then you're just dependent on just one thing, which is not what you want to be doing. That's why for him, we now recently introduced bottom of funnel ads, which have been doing super well. So focus on variety. The next thing you want to be understanding is that Facebook and any ad platform is an auction, right? Facebook wants to make money. Meta as a company, it's a capitalistic platform, right? They want to make money themselves. So how do they make money? By exploiting us as advertisers, right? They will charge you a very expensive CPM if your ads are not custom made or if your ads are not on point, right? If your ads are just completely ripped end to end, they're going to give you very high CPMs pretty much all of the time, right? So what do we do to combat that? And at the same time, they will turn on every AI enhancement or this or that all of the time. Why is this? Because again, it's a capitalistic company. They want to make as much money as possible and they're struggling right now. So they will try to just, squeeze advertisers as much as they can. So turn off all of these AI enhancements that they give you. Turn off all of these random things that they turn on for you. Never ever accept Facebook's recommendations. They've never worked and they will always increase your costs. Why is this? Because again, understand what Facebook is. Because recently we saw a bunch of overspending issues happening right before they announced their earnings, right? So they were announcing their earnings. Just a week before that, everyone's ad accounts and everyone's performance completely nuked, right? So we know this to be the case with Meta, and Meta wants to make money themselves. They care about advertisers, of course, but they want to keep advertisers as well, but they don't want you to make that much money. So you have to follow everything I mentioned here on this call today so that you can have the best practices and you can make the most amount of money as well. So understand these 4-5 elements and your ROAS will significantly improve. The next thing is don't have too much platform dependency, right? So if you are doing 1K a day with Meta, right? And a lot of you guys are on this call doing more than 1K a day, right? You don't want to be dependent on just one platform, which is Meta. One platform is too close to zero, right? The biggest brands in the world, they are omni-channel, right? Omni-channel is what you want to be. What do I mean by this? You want to be present on TikTok. You want to be present on Instagram. You want to be present on all of the organic channels. You want to be doing influencers. You want to be doing everything, right? When you have something working, pour gasoline on it, right? Put some time and effort behind it. Put some extra time and effort behind it, because most people are not going to do that. The moment you go omni-channel, the moment you try stuff that other people are not trying, is the moment you find your edge, right? And sometimes edges are different for different people. Certain products have a native element that work really well for them. Some products have an element, like for example, you have, for you particularly, statics may work, right? All of these things are super important. So Meta is an auction, right? Meta will reward advertisers who do things that Meta wants. What does Meta want? Meta wants their users to stay longer on the platform, right? They want to make as much money as possible because they're a for-profit company, right? So they would want to make sure that if your ads are being shown to a potential user, the potential user doesn't think it's an ad and scroll past it, right? Think of it from Mark Zuckerberg's standpoint. What does he want? He wants to impress his investors, right? And how does he do that? By showing massive profits. And the way he shows massive profits is by squeezing the 80% of the advertisers who are on Meta. 20% of the advertisers who are on here will make a lot of money and they will fund everything. So keep these things in mind. Be omni-channel. Do not be dependent on just Meta. Till you get to 1K a day, cool. You can stay on Meta. Don't worry about TikTok. Don't worry about, a lot of people are talking about app loving right now. We'll not dive into that yet, but understand that when you get to 1K a day, which is not difficult to do, you have to be omnipresent. You have to be omni-channel. So if you have an outage with Facebook, then you're not just dependent on Facebook alone. You have variety. And if Facebook shits the bed one day, you have TikTok that saves it, right? If anything shits the bed, you have another platform that protects it, right? So variety is important. You also have to understand that ads work in a way where it's a funnel, right? Terrible drawing here, I'll fix this. It's a funnel, right? Now, what is a funnel? A funnel is a user journey, right? Whenever a customer is coming on to your brand or anywhere, everything is divided as a funnel, right? So the way I look at it is I look at it as tofu, which is top of funnel. You have mofu, which is middle of funnel. And then you have bofu, which is bottom of the funnel, right? Most of you guys today on this call are just running ads for tofu, right? Top of funnel. People who have never heard of your brand before, who don't know who you are, they don't know why you exist, and they will never buy from you again. They will just see your one ad and they will just scroll past it. Mofu, which is, okay, I know what the brand is, I know what the brand does, but I'm not convinced enough to buy yet, right? So you have cold traffic here, you have warm traffic here, and you have hot traffic here, right? Bofu, which is bottom of the funnel, is the hottest traffic you have, which are people who have seen your ad, they know it, they know you exist, and they are sort of inclined to buy, but they don't have a reason to buy yet. They've probably even added to your cart. They've probably even checked out, but they've not bought yet. That's Bofu. Facebook automatically tracks all of these guys. So you as an advertiser, you're very fortunate today to have Meta's algorithm also working in your favor. Because what does Meta want? Meta doesn't want you to not do well. They want you to make money too, right? And the way they make you money is by making sure that, again, you also get sales, right? So they want you. They want to perform in your best interest, but you also have to understand that Meta is a for-profit company, like I went over. So everyone just runs ads for cold traffic. No one even focuses on warm and hot traffic. What are warm and hot traffic? Warm and hot traffic, like I explained, are people who already know about your brand. I will dive into how to set this up in a bit. This is how you understand these things first before we dive into, okay, how do we test our ads? What type of creatives do we use? All of that stuff, right? The next thing I want you to understand is that for every concept that we test, we either will have a separate ad set or we will have a separate CBO directly. I want to spend some more time explaining how the CBO structure we set up looks like. We have a CBO campaign, which means that you let Meta decide where to actually allocate your budget, and then you have multiple concepts under it, and you have the last ad set being a bottom of the funnel ad. Now, if this sounds too complex, I'll make it easy for you. The concept that you want to be testing here is, let's say, a new style ad, or let's say it's a specific type of a video ad, but the last thing that you want here is you want to have your bottom of the funnel ad. Now, what do I mean by a bottom of funnel ad? bottom of funnel ads are basically ads that just are shown to people who are already engaged with your brand, who already know what your brand does or what your product does in depth. They are just looking for a reason to buy today, and your bottom of funnel ads are essentially just your ads with your offer, nothing else. And if you can just have all of these things in a CBO campaign, Meta will automatically diversify that budget accordingly to how they see best fit. So with my bottom of funnel ads, I will just have ads which is like an image, for example, which has my product here. So they know what my product actually is. And it has text right here, which is either going to show a strike through price, that hey, this was this price before, and now you're getting it at this price, massive sale, or our biggest sale of the year, we're almost sold out. One of my best ads, I will literally explain my best ad right now for bottom of funnel, is this one ad where I have my product in the middle, supplement, and then you have right up on top, back in stock, right? And that's it. That is literally it. Because they are familiar with my product, they're most likely already sold with my ad that they've seen before, right? If they've not bought automatically now, let's say you are a user, right? And I'm the advertiser and you are my user, right? You will probably see one ad, top of funnel. This is you. This is you. And let's say you see my ad, top of funnel, and you're like, hey, wow, cool product, but I'm not going to buy yet, right? And then 2 days later, you see the same ad. Cool, I'm not convinced enough to buy yet. 5 days later, you'll see the same top of funnel ad. You're never going to buy from that brand, right? So you don't have a reason to. Because if you've not converted from the one video before, why would you convert from the same video again? Unless you have a reason to. So now, why do we introduce bottom of funnel? Is because then you immediately, if you've not bought, Facebook will automatically show you an ad which is like this, which is going to talk about back in stock. It's going to talk about, hey, we're running low on stock, or it's going to talk about strike through price. Oh, there's a sale going on right now, right? So if you saw this ad, you remember the brand, and what you do is you just directly see this type of an ad, which is bottom of funnel, which is more urgency driven. It's just going to talk about your offer. You're not selling your product, you're just selling your offer, right? And then if I see your bottom of funnel ad 2 days or 3 days later, I end up making that purchase, or you end up making that purchase, rather. That's how you want to be looking at your ads. So you want to have creators from everywhere. I'm going to go behind the scenes of how I actually set up a campaign. First of all, we are running ads on a 7-day click, 1-day view, and it's an auction always, right? 7-day click, 1-day view. What does it mean? It means that if you are a customer, you're most likely to convert on a 7-day time frame, right? That's why I don't judge my ads on 1 day. If I judge my ads on 1 day, like today, for example, we had a Shopify nuke today, right? We had Shopify literally down for, I think, about an hour. Shopify was down, every website was down today. If I judge my ad performance on a day like this, I will never find my winners. Why? Because every day ad performance is different, right? I want to go back to Miro board in a second. The way ads work as well is every day you're showing your ads to a pool of people, right? Let's say this pool is a bunch of white girls, right? And this is a pool of older women. And this is a pool of, let's say young guys, right? If your product talks to all of them, Facebook will automatically show your ads to a separate pool. Now, in your ad, if you're going to talk about, let's say, son, that hey, this product is for my son, then it will just show your ads to different avatars of sons, right? So if you are trying to advertise to parents, it's going to show someone who has kids in kindergarten. It's going to show your ads to someone who is in, let's say, who has a son in high school, right? So it's going to show your ads to different avatars. And that's how Meta works. So if you just let it decide on 1 day's of ad spend that, hey, this ad is profitable or not profitable, and just cut it off, it's not getting the time to optimize. The way Meta will work is, let's say, let me give you a simple example. running a beauty product, right? And you are running this beauty product to people who, or women who are basically, it's for their wrinkles, right? Let's talk about that. It's going to show your ads to women who are above 30. It's going to show your ads to women who are above 40. It's going to show, giving you random examples here. One pool, it'll show to women who are struggling with menopause, right? Now, this is a different avatar it shows to. If this got a sale, right, Facebook will automatically now adjust its spend towards women with menopause. So you have to learn how to read your data. And when you do that, then you understand how ads work. So that's why you need to have variety. You need to have variety of concepts in your ad account. So I don't just want to run ads towards one particular avatar. I want to run ads towards multiple avatars. If I am running my ads, I will speak to women with menopause who want my product. I will speak to women above 30. I will speak to as many avatars as I possibly can. So now Facebook will automatically show my ad to that avatar. That's how ads work as a whole. So if you just have two ads you test, it becomes a problem because you're not targeting different avatars. You're just targeting one avatar with one concept, right? It doesn't have data to show your ads to multiple people because Facebook will not spend on these avatars if it doesn't think it's going to get a sale, right? That's how it works. So you want to have variety. You want to have all of these different angles, as many as you can think of, and just let Facebook decide where to spend and never make your judgments on just one day. Because if it's spent, let's say you have $100 budget, it's spent 35 bucks here, spend 35 bucks here, and spend 35 bucks here, and it got one sale, right? One sale from this woman menopause type of an angle. Then you will be like, oh, these two did not work. I will cut them off. But it's only 1 day worth of data. You have to give it 3 days, 4 days, sometimes even 5 days before it optimizes. And then Facebook, like I said, will automatically adjust its spend towards where it thinks it will get the best possible results, right? So that's how meta ads work. And if you have a bottom of funnel ad right here, and you have all of this in a CBO campaign, like I explained, then it will spend some money here, but then it'll also spend some money here, spend $10 here and get you a sale. Because now it's going to show you as someone's already seen your ad, already knows about your brand before, right? That's how it works. Aaron, you have a question?
Yes, I have one doubt. So you told me inside the CBO we will be running three different ad sets. In the sense, like three different hooks to the women with menopause, women with 40, and women with 30. But actually, like earlier you told me, inside the product description we will be putting only to one specific. Like how will I
Good
get
question.
sales from here?
Good question. So when you're starting off, what I would personally do if I was in your shoes, because you've not found a winner yet, right? In your shoes specifically, then you just want to focus mainly on one avatar, right? And you just have different concepts you test for that one avatar, right? So if it's women with menopause, focus on that one avatar. Your product page talks about women with menopause, and then all of your ads are just different concepts. So it could be an image, it could be a video, it could be a different type of a video which talks about, hey, you lose hair after menopause, whatever the case may be, right? Same avatar, different concepts. When you have a winning product, then you have a specific lander towards each concept or towards each avatar, sorry.
Okay, I got it.
Now you understand how the algorithm works. You now understand how ads work and what the best practices are in 2026. So what do we do for testing? You guys are able to see my ad account. First of all, name and convention, super important. If you don't name your campaigns properly, tomorrow when you have 5 employees or 6 employees and they're looking over your ads and you have multiple campaigns going out, you get confused on what campaign is what. So start off with the objective or the date. I'll start off with the date. So you can say June 3rd, right? June 3rd, concept or avatar, whatever you're targeting. Let's say it's concept 1. Let's say this is just, we're now trying natives, for example. I would just have natives written out here. And I would have the avatar I am targeting. Let's say it's just women above 35, right? I would just have women above 35, the avatar that I'm targeting, right? Then I would keep a lot of it as CBO. That's what I prefer right now. And again, if you want to test with ABO, you can do that. Break rules sometimes. There's no specific rules. There's no rules with advertising as a whole, right? See what works for you. CBO, if you're on a tighter budget, do $50 a day, right? And then what you want to be focusing on is no breakdowns. Even here on your ads, no breakdowns, right? Don't even, like I said, even if you're targeting women above 35, we will keep everything broad, right? Why will we keep everything broad? Because Facebook's algorithm is smart enough and I don't need to narrow it down, right? The date should always be 12 a.m. the next day, always, right? Why? Because if your ad account is in a different time zone, and it'll just rush spend. If you launch at 6 p.m., it'll start to rush spend by 12 a.m. Right? So it's very important to keep everything at 12 a.m. the next day, ad account time zone. Ad set name should be your concept, right? We talked about let's say you're running native ads, right? This is concept one. This could be menopause, right? And maximize number of conversions. I don't have a pixel set up here, but otherwise you would have a pixel created as well. No breakdowns here at all. What you can do is you can just do worldwide, all of the top 4 countries, and then you can also do European countries. When you are doing European countries, exclude the islands. Someone said, what about selling only in one country like the UK? You can do that. I've not seen the best results with that personally, which is why I don't recommend it. You would much rather let Facebook decide where to spend, right? And just give it the countries, and then it'll find the customers for you. This is how simple ads have become recently. The media bank side has become very easy. This time where we spend more of our time and attention is the creative aspect. So I don't recommend just running ads in one country now. Use these as thinking mechanisms, right? Because everything with ads is logic, right? And things change, right? So ads is 90% logic. And you would see, okay, what is working? Where's my spend going? And who is buying? If the same people are buying, then I would run more of that. Very simple. That's how I look at it. I will go into more complex stuff later, but this is a simple example of how I run stuff. And placements. Over here, when you come under placements, you want to go on the platforms and you just want to deselect Messenger, deselect threads, and deselect audience networks. Now, if I have selected one concept here, which is menopause, all of my ads here, let's say I have multiple ads here, right? I have ad 1, ad 2, ad 3, let's say I have 5 ads. This one concept will only talk about menopause. So all of my 4 or 5 ads will just have menopause creatives, right? And since I have my budget set on the campaign level, I've set my budget here on the campaign level, it will automatically spend where Facebook thinks will get me the best. That's what CBOs even stand for. But this is how you structure your CBO properly, right? And then what you would do is you would have a different concept. So I would duplicate this ad set right here, right? And again, turn this off. Any recommendation Meta gives you, turn it off. It's just wasted ad spend. So turn off every recommendation. Duplicate, and then you would have concept 2. So in this concept, you can talk about working moms. Giving an example, you can do research on what are the best concept or best avatars I can target, right? Actually, it's avatar, not concept. Excuse me. Avatar. Concept is the fact that it's native, right? If I am testing video ads, I would test video ads in a separate CBO campaign, right? So I would have 2 campaigns. That's how I would run it. Working moms, reminder, all of these ads will be, you guessed it, working moms, right? So they'll be tailored towards working moms. You can have 3 or 4 concepts, and then what you want to have one ad set for, just one ad set. Again, remember to deselect this, duplicate, and you have one ad set, just BOF or BOFU, right? Bottom of funnel. And then these are your ads. These could be images, these could be videos, it could be anything, which is just your offer driven ads. Simple. So what I'm showing you here is literally $10 million worth of sales that I have done myself that I'm distilling onto you. So all you have to do is just practice, understand and follow this concept. Again, to give you an example, this is a bottom of funnel ad. Now, bottom of funnel ads can be completely offer driven or completely ads like this, which is just going to be your main promise, right? You can also have a guarantee driven ad, right? Increase your height in X amount of time, or your money back, right? One point I want to cover is if you're running a bottom of funnel ad today, right? You will see sometimes your cost per purchase on these will go up, right? What I want you to understand is that you don't cut those off. Why? Because those top of funnel, your ads I'm talking about here, are the ones that are actually getting you the sales, right? Because if someone's actually looking at this ad, then the bottom of funnel ad works. The bottom of funnel ads don't work without a top of funnel ads, right? So you want to have a diversity, you want to have these ads right here. So again, bottom of funnel ads will just be ads like this that you would make. Very simple. You can just literally screenshot this, give this to Gemini or whatever, and you can get the exact ad, how these guys run it. So you can literally copy best brands and just run those as ads. It's that simple. It just requires some level of practice. These are also bottom of funnel ads, right? So this runs to an audience that already knows about what Norse Organics does. Already runs to an audience that knows about how Norse Organics can help them. It could also be a video, right, which talks about sales. Hey, Norse Organics on the biggest sale of the year. Could also be a video. But then if you don't know what Norse Organics is, the video doesn't make sense for you, right? So your bottom of funnel only works when your top of funnel is on point, right? All these things tie into each other, right? Even here, this is also a bottom of funnel ads, which is going to talk about, yes, it's pricey, now on spring sale. So if you just saw this directly, you will be like, okay, what is this, right? But they don't show it to you directly. You know what this brand is. So this will only come to you if you've seen the other ads. So you need to have this active, is what I'm saying.
What's up, Vivan? I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Perfect.
You're crushing it. What numbers are you at right now?
Sorry?
I think you had a winning product recently, right?
Yeah, you can take a look at the Loom later.
Yeah, I saw that.
My question would be, 1 million 30 days product. How did you start testing this one? For example, the like this one here. It had like super saturated angles, let's say the weight loss. How would you test angles? Because right now we talked only about characters, but not angles. Let's say you start out with a TikTok rip, right? With Kalo rip.
Great question. So the way I would do, it's a very good question, very high quality question. I would just specifically focus on one market, which would be men above 35. So men who work physical jobs. Are you working in super harsh conditions? Are you a man who works a physical job, or are you, there's so many physical jobs. Pretty much, I would say 60% of jobs are physical. If you're making AI ads or whatever you're making, if you're just focusing on that one avatar and your landing page talks that avatar, you're good to go. The differentiation you would have is the avatar and the offer. Right now, when I did that free gift offer, very few people were doing it, right? The way you would stand out today is by doing like a Facebook group, for example, right? You can do a Facebook group that comes along with the main product that you're selling, which would be just, hey, you be a part of this Facebook group where everyone is also trying to lose fat, right? So you can be like, I'm an active guy, I work out, but I also have, a construction job that I work. I am super tired the entire day. I barely have any time to work out. And at the same time, I was gaining belly fat, right? Until I found and that's how you would sell it, right? So yes, saturated product, but I've still seen people crush it with that product, right? So it's not the product, it's just the way you sell it. So I have worksheets that I've prepared for every single one. Whenever you guys are launching your ads, you want to actually fill out each one of these worksheets. Now, why am I asking you to fill out a stupid worksheet? I'm asking you to fill this out mainly because of the fact that you use this, when you fill this out, you use this to actually give Claude context. So Claude will become much more aware of who your target customer is. So there's 3 worksheets like this. If you guys are running ads, you have to fill this out, and I will have it sent over to you privately if you need this, if I haven't already sent it over to you. Now, why this works really well is because you answer these questions and you really take your time to answer these questions. Please don't use AI to answer them. You should know enough about your product, whatever you are selling, to be able to answer these questions yourself. But you actually want to answer them in depth. You cannot just go ahead and answer it however you feel like it, or just use AI for it. Right? It has to be thoughtful. So these are 7-8 pages. These are the 3 worksheets just like this. Now, why this works is because then you have understood your customer. You've understood who you're selling to. Your copy is not AI slop anymore. And your copy is now just directed towards someone who's actually looking to buy your product, and you're speaking that language. And when you're speaking that language, they're much more likely to buy and stop scrolling on your ad, right? So you've now understood the concept of how to actually make ads that convert. Then we dive into the actual creation of the ad, right? Now, again, one important point I want to add is don't overthink this, right? Don't spend 5 days on this. Don't spend 9 days on this. No, you want to be speedy. At the same time, you want to be using AI as much as you can, but don't just blindly use AI. AI has to have context, right? So even if you're using that for image generation or whatever the case may be, if there's no context and AI doesn't have context, your AI doesn't have context, then it's going to just give you haywire answers. So one thing I do is I have a project for everything. I have a project for my brand. I have a project for my accounting, right? And there's a separate project I make on Claude, right? I would recommend each one of you all get Claude Pro if you don't already have one, because the free one is just not enough. Since you have Claude Pro, you're going to be able to just go ahead and have multiple folders. Just have 2 folders, in my opinion, is more than enough. One is going to be everything about your brand, right? So tell it your goals, tell it everything that you want to do. At the same time, these 3 worksheets that I'm going to be sending you, right? You want to fill them out, and then you want to give it back to Claude. And then you want to ask it to actually make your copy or your ads or anything that you're making. Let's say you're making a native ad or whatever the case may be. You want to actually have that made through these references, right? And you want to give it your competitors as well, right? And again, it will do its job. Building a little bit more on that, if you send your curiosity driven ads to a page like this, where you're talking about 5 reasons why more people are moving to your product, this works 10 times better than sending your customer to a regular product page, because now you are telling them before they buy your product that your solution actually works, and here's why so many people are moving to your solution. So if you have a page like this, which is called a listicle, explaining exactly what your product does, how it helps, and more importantly, you have 5 reasons why so many people, social proof, are moving to your product or your mechanism. This works 10 times better. And then you have your offer given to them right away. You have something like this as well, where you have multiple selling points about your product, but you're not just pushing the product to them. You're giving them reasons why your mechanism or your product is so popular and why are so many people shifting to that solution. All your ads are is your creatives. For image ads, what's working is 4x5 imagery. So like not like squares, but like it's going to be like a rectangle with like a reel format. Now, again, bottom of funnel ads are shown to people who are already product aware, who are already aware of what your product does, how it helps them, blah, 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 right? It should also just be a video, right? We can also just make this video directly through any AI platform where someone's holding your product, right? And that's it. And just have some text on top, which is going to be like, we are almost sold out. Again, this will not be shown to someone who is brand new. This will automatically be sold or shown to someone who actually knows about what your product is. I told this to you guys last time, right? This is the spectrum of ads, right? This is completely AI. This is no AI, right? Either you are at this side where it's fully AI and your customer knows it's AI, or you're on this side where it's fully realistic, right? What you don't want to be doing is you don't want to be in the middle of the spectrum where it's some AI person just talking to the camera and it looks super dull. People can tell if it's AI. One thing I do is I show my mom every ad I make, right? If she can tell it's AI, then I don't run it, right? So either you stay completely on the AI spectrum where the customer knows it's AI and it's a fully AI slop ad, or you make it a completely non-AI ad. Like this applies for videos, not images. Images can be whatever. But my point is, when you run these type of ads to a curiosity-driven ad, so my main point here is you don't just make one variation of this ad, you would make multiple variation of this curiosity-driven ad, right? This has been our best performer as of now. These work extremely, extremely well, right? Now, since you're not giving context on your actual product here, like people are just curious enough to come on your page here, this should not ideally go to a product page, right? I hope this makes sense. These curiosity-driven ads are fucking insane. These work like magic. What's really important here is the music. Very important. If you spend time on anything, it should be this, right? Every single dropshipper who I have met who does $1 million a month plus, or even more than that, they're good at one thing, and that's understanding what ads work and content. They're good at content, right? They're not good at scripting this and that. They're good at content. Every single one of them, right? That's one thing I've seen common. So you have to understand how to produce content that will sell, right? And that will not come without practice. So you will make a lot of shit ads before you make good ads, right? So again, it will just come with just like you have to be a blacksmith, right? Who just like continuously makes your work better, right? So it's going to come with practice, in my opinion. I saw there was a question come up. Let me just answer that really quick before I dive into the next thing I want to talk about. What plan you recommend getting on Hicksfield? I'm not sure what plan I use, but I use the plan which has 6,000 credits. So you might want to check what that one is. It is a little expensive, I would say, but it's well worth it for us at least, because we make a lot of image ads through that, right? So we can use a lot of models through that. If you are on a budget, I would recommend you use FreePick, right? FreePick is also a really good option. Why these work is because one, Hicksfield will allow you to just use a lot of these different tools. So Hicksfield is massive, and I personally use Hicksfield. You're able to use like any major AI tool on here. That's it, right? Or you can also use FreePick, right? FreePick we used to use before. The reason why we switched to Hicksfield is because Hicksfield now connects to Claude. Wait, it's not the link. FreePick is, oh wow, they changed their name. Yeah, this is the new name, Magnific, right? But this works really well. So like either use FreePick. I believe FreePick is a lot cheaper compared to what you have, compared to Hicksfield. So both work, but I just prefer Hicksfield. It's been easier for me. Okay, let me see. There's one more question. What model is good for animated cartoon type of ads? Also, which one's the best for generating the realistic looking avatars? I will have Ankit, my new content guy, join the call next week, where he will explain these concepts to you guys very in depth. And he's working on SOPs for each one of y'all that you guys can actually use in your ads, like actually how to make these cartoon ads and all of these ads. Like, I'm stupidly bad at all of these things myself, right? But I can still make it because it's a very simple process now. Right? You guys may be thinking that it's such a difficult concept. How do I make this? I've never edited ads before. I don't know how to do it. It just requires 1 weekend of learning. Curiosity-driven ad. It could also be a completely AI ad. It could just be no AI, whatever you guys want, right? Either you make it fully AI, or you don't make it AI at all. Very nice call today. I think we discussed a lot, but I want you guys to actually focus on these things. And again, you have to put in the work. I say this all the time. Theory alone and this information alone is only one part of the puzzle. If you guys don't actually go ahead and like figure it out and like just go crazy on this information I've given you and like dissect it, it's not going to work.